It's important to also understand that if you do a non-traditional thesis, it's not less work. It tends to be more work. If you stay within the 5-chapter traditional thesis structure format of introduction, literature review, methodology, results, and discussion, that structure is already created for you, and you basically need to put your research into it, adapt your research to that structure. And so it's a lot more work when you start from scratch to think, okay, how am I going to do all this? How am I going to write a creative thesis that doesn't follow this format? And so it adds another layer of complexity, and which can take more time and more effort. So just be aware that there are trade-offs in all of this, in how you choose. The more of yourself your personal self you put into it, the more challenging it can become. I do encourage all of you, though, to write in the first person active voice. Don't write, "this was done," or "these results were found," but "I did this, I found this, I designed this research." And so this is something, in my view, to clearly discuss with your potential supervisor before you sign on, to check with that person to see if they're okay with this. I think most supervisors that Liza or Rick would recommend at this point would be okay with that, but it's something to check up on. You also should be sure to check with your supervisor to get a feel, a real direct feel for your capacity to deeply communicate with this person, that you feel comfortable with this person, that you don't feel like, wow, this might be an expert in the field, but I don't really feel like I've got a bond, or can't build a real bond with this person. That's a very important piece of the supervisor-student relationship as well. And get somebody that is going to respond to your writings, your questions, your proposals that you submit, your drafts, that you're not waiting around for a month. So these are things to really discuss and find out what their schedule is like, whether they're so tied up in other stuff that no matter how wonderful you think they might be, that they're simply not going to be available to provide you with guidance and feedback. Okay, methodology. You'll take a methodology course with Rick. It's great. And he looks at both quantitative and qualitative methodology, and he's a strong proponent of mixed methodology. I'm a little bit less of a strong proponent of mixed methodology, especially at the level of masters, because unless you're extremely disciplined, the quantitative part can just take over and submerge the qualitative part. So just keep that in mind. Most especially, I myself, and I'm probably in a minority here, I'm not a true believer in specific methodologies that, you have to find a methodology and then just follow that, whether it's grounded theory or anything else. I think it's more important sometimes in quantitative research, because you do need to do statistical analysis, and so you need to set up your study in a way that can be done statistically analyzed successfully. But in a lot of research, I think that I'm more of a proponent of seat of the pants approach, which is what I did. I just kind of figured out the way that would work best for me. And so it was a strong negotiation with my committee. They said, well, what's your critical measure going to be? What's your hypothesis going to be? What's your methodology? And I just refused. I said, I don't know, and I'm not approaching it that way. I'm going to go sit on an island in the wilderness for a year, and I'm going to see what happens. And my commitment is to stay present and see what happens. I wouldn't even promise to take field notes in the form of a journal. I did eventually take field notes. Now, I'm not suggesting that you proceed in that open-ended a way, because it took me 8 years to get a PhD, and I think you might have some difficulty with Royal Roads if your proposal doesn't include specific research questions and some kind of methodology. But there are many methodologies that you can use, and you can use them pretty open-endedly. So there's narrative approaches, there's ethnographic approaches, there's autoethnographic approaches, just basic lived experience. And then you can also take a very open-ended way to how you approach your data. You can either analyze it in specific grounded theory kinds of ways, or you can simply submerge yourself in the data and you use your own body, your own mind as the instrument of analysis. So it will depend a lot on who you are as a person, how comfortable you feel with really unstructured approaches. So I'm not suggesting how you should do it. What I'm saying is there's a variety of approaches. So don't feel artificially constrained. Find the way that's going to work best and be most meaningful to you. At the end of the second retreat, you're going to be it's going to be a radical change as you leave the structured cohort with guidance and classes, and you're going to kind of be out there on your own. Even though you will have a supervisor, it's going to be really self-directed. And so take seriously building groups of fellow students, and make sure that you do that. I think Royal Roads is suggesting that now, but make sure that happens. And you might want to check to get in a group with somebody that's doing the same kind or the same basic approach to research that you are, whether it's quantitative or open-ended. So that's something to just keep in mind. This support group will be really important to you. So take it seriously and make sure that this happens. If it kind of gets lost in the process in the second residency, I strongly suggest that you make sure that this happens for you, that you build a support group of 2 or 3 other people that you check in with regularly every week during the process of research and writing. The other thing that is, I think, hugely important is that you link up with a mentor, somebody that has either completed their thesis or is very close to completing their thesis, that's a year or 2 years ahead of you. And really, invite somebody. I'm not sure if Royal Roads is going to set that up as a formal activity, but if not, I would check on that. I was asked to see if this is a formal part of the second residency, and if not, I would take it upon myself to really check out different people, what they've done in the year or 2 years before you, and find somebody that you feel comfortable working with and ask them if they will join you in a mentoring relationship because they have so much knowledge and wisdom after this process, and it's just a huge shame for it to go to waste. So really take advantage of that. So I think that's what I wanted to say about this. It's been a joy working with you in this course, and I wish you all the best in the coming courses, and that you have a really wonderful experience in your thesis research and writing. It can be a life-changing experience if you let it. So all the best of luck. Take care.